Yo, what's up guys, it's Frosty and I'm bringing you guys another video on the channel. So, just the other day, Black Ops 7 was announced and they did the reveal and stuff, and so I just kind of want to talk about that, talk about, what's confirmed for it, what my wish list of things I'd like to see on it. Some of the things on my wish list are confirmed, so I might end up talking about it twice, but basically I'm going to have this video split up into two different sections. So the first section I'm going to talk about is like my wish list and what I want to see in Black Ops 7. And then the second section will be what is confirmed from the creators who played it when they got invited out by Activision. So it's just kind of from their videos, I kind of went through them all and wrote down some of the things they were talking about that is confirmed. Might have a rumor or two in there that is stuff that is just rumored. I tried to keep it mainly to stuff that was just confirmed and what was seen in the trailer or in COD Direct. And also, this video is kind of only going to be sticking to multiplayer because that's kind of what my channel's based on. It's mainly pub stomping and stuff, so like campaign and zombies doesn't really matter to me. But a lot of people's videos went in depth on that stuff too. One of the big ones I watched was RaidAway's. He had like a half-hour video talking about it. He talked all about campaign, zombies, a lot of multiplayer. I think a couple other people did as well. I can't remember if Swag did, but anyway, go check out their videos. I know Charlie Intel had a bunch of stuff on Twitter, so I'll link some of that stuff down below. But yeah, so let's kind of get into my wish list, what I'd like to see, and hopefully will see. Now, I know some of this definitely isn't going to happen, but I can still wish it would. So first off, we're going to start with balanced weapons. And what I mean by that is kind of like BO3 style, where you can pick up any gun and do good with it. There's not one majorly overpowered gun in the game like there was with Black Ops 6 when it first came out, the AEK. That thing was the go-to weapon, the Jackal PDW in the beta. There's nothing balanced about that. That's just, in order to do good, you now have to use that gun. No other gun can compete, whereas with Black Ops 3, you had like the main guns that were considered the best, which would be like the M8A7, the VMP, later on the XMC, which was kind of unbalanced when it first came out, and then they nerfed it and made it a lot more balanced of a weapon. But you could still pick up like the HVK, the Shiva, the Pharaoh, some guns that would be considered lower on the tiers of good and still be able to do very well with them and still compete with all those other guns. And then also I'd like to see some good streaks. I say this every COD. I want some like BO2, BO3 style streaks where you can just go off and just destroy the enemy team. We've seen a couple of them when MW3 came out with like Swarm. What else? There was a couple other streaks that came out. I can't remember if Dogs came out in MW3 or not. But I'd like to see Orbital VSAT, Dogs, Swarm, Wraith, Raps, like that kind of streaks. I know the Raps and the Dogs kind of go hand in hand. I would really like to see some decent streaks because in Black Ops 6, yeah, the Chopper Gunner was good, but it wasn't as good as some of the streaks could have been, because really the only usable ones were the Chopper Gunner, and then Orbital VSAT, and then later in the seasons, you had the hand cannon. I think War Machine was out in Black Ops 6 too. I didn't play a whole lot of it, like the Death Machine and stuff, and that's simply because the rest of the streaks weren't as good, and those streaks counted towards your nuke, so it just made more sense to use them than it did for any of the other ones. So I tended to run like UAV, hand cannon, Orbital VSAT, or in this game, in Black Ops 6, it was called the Harp. Now, I'd like to be able to run more of a variety, like in Black Ops 3, like I was saying. I'd run the Wraith, Raps, Hater. That combo was deadly. Black Ops 2, you had the Swarm, the VSAT, Lodestar, K9s, and you could just go absolutely off with them and drop 200 pluses, no problem. Or you had also like in World War II, which if you've watched my channel, that's a lot of my videos are World War II. You had the paratroopers, you had the ball turret gunner, like all these streaks that you can just go absolutely off with. And if you are destroying the enemy team, you can just absolutely destroy them even more. So I'd love to see more of that. And then also, I want a callable nuke, but I don't want it to end the game. All the more recent ones had it. MW3s, it had the MGB, which ended the game, which sucked. But eventually it came out with the DNA bomb for an event, and that didn't end the game. And I wish they would have kept that, because that was a great thing to have. And especially with World War II with the V2 rocket, you could call multiple in a game without it ending and not having to worry about, okay, am I calling in the right score streaks, or am I accidentally going to call in this nuke and absolutely ruin the gameplay there? Because I've had that happen in Black Ops 6 where, I was on probably a 70 gun streak, or I might have had the double nuke and I was close to the triple, and my teammate ends up getting a nuke and he calls it in right away, and all of a sudden my gameplay is ruined and I can't get my triple because now the game ended halfway through, all because some guy late joined and was able to get a nuke. So I would really like to have callable nukes that doesn't end the game. That would be a great addition to come back, in my opinion. And then a gun streak counter, that's just kind of, that's been in the last few CODs. I'm assuming it's going to be in this one too. It's just nice to know what gun streak I'm on instead of being like, okay, this was the last medal. I think I got this many kills since then. Especially when you have things like World War II where you'd still get the medals even if you didn't have the gun kills. So you wouldn't really know how close to a nuke you were. You just kind of had to guess and be like, okay, I think I'm like a couple off here. So that'd be nice to have, and I'll be surprised if it's not in it. And then this one might be a little controversial, but I prefer supply drops over the battle pass, in my opinion. When I say I want supply drops, I want like a World War II NWR style supply drops where you have armory with the salvage and stuff compared to with the battle pass. Because with the supply drops, yes, was it a little luck based? It definitely was. But the thing is, you could still get stuff without having to pay for it. As long as you grind at the game and were able to get those like crypto keys or there's supply drops or those armory credits, you could still get everything that came out. Whereas with the battle pass, you're required to purchase the battle pass to get half the stuff. And especially with like the black cell coming out with the XP boosts and all that stuff, like you have to pay extra for that. And I think it was like $30 to get the black cell pass, which to me was insane. And then you had event passes, so it's like, okay, we're gonna have an event this week, but you got to pay another $15 to get everything that's in it, instead of like World War II where it's like, hey, we have this really cool event out, just grind for a little bit and you can get the supply drops and be able to get all the items. That's what I really preferred. I don't like having to spend like thousands of dollars on video games if I don't have to. To me, that's entirely pointless when everything else is so expensive in this world nowadays. I don't want to have to spend $20 just to get a gun variant. And then the next thing I want to talk about is Specialist coming back. Now this is one of the things that is confirmed, so I will get more into that later in the video, but basically that is, instead of score streaks you get perks, so the more kills you get, the more score streaks you unlock till eventually you get what's called a Specialist bonus, which is every single perk in the game. And then another thing is looping streaks, which is also kind of confirmed, except instead of just looping streaks in the base game, which is what it should be, you now need to run a perk which allows you to loop them, which to me is pointless. If you're going to have looping streaks, just have looping streaks. I shouldn't have to run a perk in order to get my streaks again, which is also one of the biggest things why I've always preferred score streaks over kill streaks. And then getting into that is also confirmed. It will be score streaks in this game. Another thing I'd like is no EKIA. For those who didn't play like Black Ops 4 and stuff, EKIA was incredibly annoying because people would just sit in the back of the map, shoot someone once, get the assist counts as kill, and then end up by like halfway through the game getting a gunship. And it's like, man, like you got 0 kills and all of a sudden you have a gunship. Like, why is that a thing? So I'm hoping it just goes the regular, you know, kills, deaths, assists, like we had in classic CODs. Now, I can't remember if Black Ops 6 had that or not. I haven't played Black Ops 6 since like, I don't know, I want to say 7 months ago. So I'm not all too familiar with it anymore. And then another thing is hit scan instead of projectiles. I am someone who live in a pretty rural area, so I've never had the best internet. I've always played on like 100 and some ping, which is incredibly normal for me. And in games where it had hit scan, like Black Ops 3, World War II, IW, basically anything before BO4. BO4 is when they kind of switched to projectiles with blackout and stuff. They need it for the distances, for the bullet drop and stuff. But to me, I'd like to see that separated and have hit scan altogether. Because in Black Ops 4, they did come out with hit scan it's somewhat returned. Like some SMGs had it, and I think some guns didn't. So I'd really prefer it to be hit scan over anything, because it still allows you to compete. It becomes less of a connection based, more of a skill kind of gap, in my opinion. And I'd also like them to have connection-based matchmaking instead of skill-based matchmaking. That kind of goes together with that. Like, you could still have 1 gig download, 1 gig up, like a $4,000 PC with all the best parts, and since you have a higher KD than the other people in your area, alright, you're being forced to play on servers on the other side of the country, and it's like, that's great, but now I'm gonna lag every game, and why would I want to play that? Like, I've been disconnected out of games just because all of a sudden it's like, oh no, packet burst, or it just kind of cuts out, or the servers cut out. It's just very inconsistent, and it used to always be good when we had like BO3 dedicated servers and stuff. It just feels like we've gone back to like the old days when it was like peer-to-peer connection, except now every game is super sweaty. Feels like I'm playing on the main stage for like $1 million just in a regular pub match. But I am aware that this will probably never happen just because they've done their research and they think skill-based matchmaking is, you know, worth it and it keeps people playing, but I've yet to see it happen. And if they are going to do it, at least keep in reverse boosting. Like, I know with MW3 it had it and like people are still playing it to this day. As soon as Black Ops 6 got rid of it, it just ruined it. I've seen, I think probably like 95% of the people I knew that played this game just stopped playing because it's like, man, why do I want to get on after working 40 hours a week to just sweat my nuts off and deal with the mind numbingness of having to try non-stop? I just want to chill, play some games, maybe play some good people one game, play some bad people the next, and still have that variety instead of just the same thing over and over again. Like, if I wanted to sit here and try my nuts off, I'd just go play ranked play. And personally, I'm not someone who, I enjoy playing ranked play. I like playing it every now and then, but it's not my go-to game mode like it is with some people. So I'd like for them to go back to that. And then another thing is a proper anti-cheat. I know a lot of people have dealt with this. It's not rare to see hackers in COD now, which sucks. I know, I'm pretty sure with Black Ops 6 they came out with console only crossplay, which is great and I'd love to see that. And honestly, if it stayed like that, I'd have no problem going back and just, because I do have a PS5 now, so I'd have no problem just playing mainly on that. Another problem with their anti-cheat is the shadow bans. I think in Black Ops 6 I played about 2 weeks and then I got stuck in what's called a shadow ban loop, where you go, you play, you get shadow banned, and I think normally it's like a week you're stuck in it, and it just forces you to play against cheaters nonstop or anyone they suspect is cheating, which really sucks because you don't even have to do good to get put into it. Like, I've seen people with negative KDs somehow get put into it, and then you're stuck in that loop, you can't play for a week, and I remember people are even having problems playing campaign. Even if someone was cheating, how is that going to affect campaign? Like, to me that made no sense whatsoever. But anyway, and then once you get unshadow banned, you get maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 games, and then I'm shadow banned again. And you just restart that over and over again. It's like, man, I just paid $100 for this game. Just because I'm decent at the game, I can no longer play anymore. Because I have a PC, and I play it on PC. And I have to go now buy a, you know, $900 console to stop getting falsely banned on this game. I'd really like for them to get rid of shadow bans and just develop a better anti-cheat, because this one is atrocious. And then I also don't want this game to become pay to win. Black Ops 6 wasn't really pay to win in my opinion. Some games in the past have been. I know when the XMC first came out on BO3, it became very pay to win because it was like incredibly overpowered for the first month, and then once their sales kind of dropped, they kind of nerfed it a bit. So I'm not go too in depth on that part. And then, or I guess this kind of goes hand in hand, but focus on the game instead of just spamming out like 30 bundles a week. I agree, some of the bundles are pretty cool. They are very overpriced in my opinion. I remember paying $2 for a camo on Black Ops 2, and now I gotta pay, what, $30 for a camo that only works on one gun? To me, that just doesn't make sense, and I get why they focus on it. It makes them like they're billions of dollars a year. They probably make more off that than they do the actual game sales, but I'd just rather, you know, have a working game in my opinion. The bundles are kind of useless if the game itself barely runs, but I guess there will be those kids who no matter what are going to buy it. And another thing, this is also confirmed, is a classic prestige system with level 1000 included. So we had that in Black Ops 6 and that was incredible to grind. I got basically to prestige master until I stopped playing the game. I think I was like just about to hit it. I love grinding that. I know with World War II, I think I had 2 accounts that I hit level 1000 on. Black Ops 3, I hit level 1k on one account and then like level 800 on the next. And it just gives you something to constantly grind for. And especially with Black Ops 6, because they have rewards that are so often, whereas with other games it was like, okay, yeah, you might get a camo here and there, or you get different icons, which I do like. Don't get me wrong, I do really enjoy being able to change my icons and stuff once you hit Prestige Master. Yeah, so that is confirmed to be in the game also. One thing I don't want to see in the game though is like really weird visual recoil like there was with MW 2019 and I think MW 2022 or MW2 2022 also had it. That's just really annoying to me. It kind of ruins it for anyone who like had decent aim in the game, which personally I am someone who I think has decent aim. It just kind of made it so it's like, yeah, just shoot in this area and eventually it will hit them. It doesn't show you exactly where your bullets are going. You can't really control the recoil because the gun's just bouncing across the screen. So it's kind of dumb in my opinion. I really hope to never see it again. And another thing is, I find they're getting kind of lazy with reusing maps. I'd really like them to just kind of create new maps and have them be decent. I don't mind like 1 or 2 old maps in the game. At least make it different ones each time, because I think Slums and like Firing Range has been in 5 or 6 different Call of Duties at this point. And I mean, they're great maps, but at some point they just become overplayed. And then I'm going to go against this with this next statement, but I'd also like to see Shipment or Nuketown in the game. Or at least a small, like even if you brought Babylon back, like that was a pretty small map, and you could just get on that, grind your camos, and have lots of fun. And you don't have to like run across the map every time you die. And then classic camo grind for main mastery camos. And what I mean by that is kind of not the newer style. Black Ops 6 kind of had it. They had the headshot, like the 100 headshots, which is what I like. And then the individual challenges, but it was like different challenges for each gun, which I didn't like because some of them were good and like some of them really sucked. Like the Jackal, you had to get point blank kills, but half the time it didn't count them. So I just kind of prefer like the BO3 style where it's like, okay, once I hit the 100 headshots, I know I need to get my bloodthirsties, long shots, payback medals, all those. That's kind of what I want to see, or at least what I would like to see. And then also decent time to kill. I find lately the time to kills have been kind of all over the place. To me, the perfect time to kill was like Black Ops 3 IW World War II. I think it was like roughly like 220 milliseconds to get a kill in those games, which to me was perfect because you could still shoot at multiple people, double kills with people still shooting at you. Whereas with like MW 2019, if they seen you, you were dead if there's more than one person. And then you had BO4 where it was like, okay, I'm shooting at this guy forever. Why is it taking so long to kill them? So I'd really like to see that kind of middle ground time to kill. And then some people prefer this, some people don't, but I love Pick 10. The Pick 10 system was perfect in my opinion. Should have never been changed to Gunsmith. Let me just, pick 1 or 2 attachments, couple perks. Maybe I don't want to run this perk class, maybe I want to run a couple of these ones. Let me run that. The Gunsmith with 8 attachments is so stupid in my opinion. I really enjoyed the basic attachments where it's like, okay, there's 1 grip, 1 extended mags, 1 fast mags, 1 quick draw, 1 stock. Like, just let me run that. Like, I don't know why you have to have like 50 different attachments. I guess, yeah, it allows you to grind more, but it kind of lets, like, you're only gonna have 1 kind of good loadout, and it makes it so you have to like think so much, like, okay, I want this, but this is gonna ruin this, so I can't run that, and it's really annoying in my opinion. So I prefer the Pick 10. And then I don't know why they ever got rid of this, but the World War II style HQ, like, I've wanted this in every game since World War II. The 1v1 pits, the firing range, like, those were so fun, and all the little events that you could have in there, opening supply drops with people, that was the funnest thing ever. I spent probably half my time playing World War II in just the HQ alone, and I loved it. I don't know why they got rid of it, because all I hear about is people saying good things about it, like, yeah, we loved it, like, come on, bring it back. And then another thing is BO3 style colors, like the real vibrant colors. Black Ops 6 had it if you changed a couple settings, which is what I did, which is why the colors still do look good in the gameplay and stuff you're probably seeing in the background. But some of the games have just been like real bland. Like World War II is pretty bland. Like, I had to change some settings in my recording software to make it look kind of decent. MW 2019 I think was pretty bland, but I just like the real vibrant colors, like pleasing to the eyes. That's what I like to see. But yeah, that's kind of all for my wish list. So now we'll get more into the confirmed stuff that we know for a fact is coming to Black Ops 7. So first off, we have the closed beta starts October 2nd. The open part of that beta starts the 5th, and then it eventually ends on the 8th. So it gives you a good 5 days to grind if you've pre-ordered the game, but only 3 if you haven't, which, I mean, that's really all you need, because the full game ends up coming out on the 14th, so that's the final release date. And now I don't know if you guys have like seen screenshots of the UI, the hub, the medals and stuff, but I'm getting real heavy MW3 Advanced Warfare vibes, and I'm talking like MW3 like 2023 I think it was, like that kind of UI style of like in-game HUD, I guess. It is a futuristic game, so that's why I was kind of getting the AW vibe. It's set 10 years after Black Ops 2. That's why you'll see a lot of Black Ops 2 stuff in this game. So it's set in 2035. And then another thing that's confirmed is cross progression through campaign, zombies, and multiplayer. I know on Black Ops 6 it was only zombies multiplayer Warzone. The campaign was completely separate from that. You couldn't level up, you couldn't do nothing, but now you have the campaign. Not only can you level up in the campaign now has its own set of mastery camos, which I will get into later into this list. So I am extremely excited because I love playing the campaigns. And it's no longer an open world campaign, which to me was the dumbest thing ever. Like, just give us a storyline, let us play the storyline. It created legendary campaigns with like Black Ops 2, the first MW series. They were all perfect in my opinion. And then of course we are getting a good amount of maps for launch. We are getting 18 maps with 3 of them returning. We got 13 brand new maps plus another 2 new maps for a different mode called Skirmish, which is 20v20. And the 3 returning maps are going to be Raid, Express, and Hijacked. Personally, I'm not a fan of Express being in there because it wasn't that good of a map, but maybe it's different in this game. And then this is another big one for me, is there's no doors on any of the maps. So since MW 2019, they've always had doors in games, which I don't know why. So they're getting rid of, or I guess manual doors is what it said. So any of the doors you open, there might still be automatic ones, like maybe the garage doors and stuff. And then there is going to be 16 mastery camos across all modes, including campaign now. I know gold is returning. I'm assuming diamond's returning because I think they did 4 main mastery camos in Black Ops 6 because you had gold, diamond, dark spine, and dark matter. So it might be something similar. Now, they never mentioned what the other ones were. I know the gold camo is called like Shattered Gold, and it's gold with like shattered glass look to it, which from what I heard, it looks really good. So I'm kind of excited for that. We're of course getting a classic prestige system with 1,000 levels. To me, this is kind of like World War II's weapon prestige, where for those who don't know, if you prestiged all your weapons in World War II to their max prestige, you could then prestige it again another 2 times to 3 and 4, which would unlock camos that you could then get, which were like the weapon prestige exclusives. So they're kind of coming up with something similar to that, except I think it's a unique camo for the gun. So like, say prestige the Peacekeeper, you might get a camo for that you can't use on like the VS Recon and vice versa. But basically, so you get 2 main weapon prestiges. So the first 2 is 50 levels roughly with Prestige Master, after that being 250 weapon levels. So if you got those double weapon tokens saved up, you're going to be all good. I'll throw the screenshot up, but it kind of shows it. So it gives possible permanently lock an attachment thing, as if you were just like, say you prestiged in game, you're able to permanently unlock something. It would be the same as that for attachments with every prestige. Another thing is, once I can't remember what prestige it is, but I think it's prestige 2, you unlock an operator mod style attachment. I think RaidAway said it was a solid camo, and then once you hit prestige master in that level 250, it was quote unquote a hot camo. So I don't know entirely what that means, but that could be interesting. And then weapon XP and double XP tokens are going to transfer from Black Ops 6. So if you have them in Black Ops 6, I recommend saving them up because on day 1 they will transfer over. So that's what I'm doing. I'm saving all mine up so I can hit Prestige Master as fast as possible. And then I mentioned this in my wish list, but Specialist instead of score streaks is back. So you can have perks be your score streaks instead of your actual score streaks for those who haven't tried it before. And then of course score streaks is confirmed instead of kill streaks. And you can make those loopable with a perk called Looper, which I'm not a big fan of. But, you know, looping streaks being back, I'll deal with it. And then another really cool thing that we haven't seen in a long time, I think since IW, was you can now overclock your score streaks. So there's be like different variants of it. Like I know with Infinite Warfare, you could have they'll last a little bit longer, but they're easier to take down. They're harder to shoot down, but they don't last as long. I know with the Advanced UAV, originally when it came out, it worked as a UAV, except it just showed direction instead of being a constant one. But it later came out with a variant that would allow it to be like a true VSAT. So that was really cool. And then it first came out in Advanced Warfare, and that's when it was like real overpowered because you could have it scan, it would show people through walls and stuff. And so I'm pretty excited about that. Another change, they're kind of go back to more like the futuristic style with wall bouncing with Omni movement. They call it like next level Omni movement. But basically you can't wall run like you could with Black Ops 3. You can only wall bounce, and if you've seen the trailer, which I do recommend you go watch the release trailer, it does showcase it in there, and it's rumored you can only wall bounce twice before you can't anymore, or like you have to take a break. So for the people who do glitches and stuff, and like they'll just wall run real high on the map or like try and do that, you won't be able to do it in this game, I don't think. And then it's rumored, according to RaidAway, BO2 style gunplay, which I'm a big fan of, but I've also seen it's Black Ops 6 gunplay since it was developed in line with Black Ops 6, so I don't know what's true about that. I would like to see the BO2 style gunplay return though. And then for those who played MW3, they are going to have like the weekly and daily events come back out, so you can get like the camos, attachments, score streaks. It was in Black Ops 6 a bit too, but not to the, I don't think to the extent that it was in MW3. So they are going to bring those back, which is really cool. And then another thing they're doing with the gunsmith is weapon build sharing with a code. So say you have a class setup and you know you want to give it to your friend, but you don't want to explain all the attachments. You can just send him a code and he'll just be able to type in that code and he'll get the full class setup right there. Now, my only hesitancy with this is if people can glitch a class to get like attachments they shouldn't, or like real weird attachments, like able to combine ones, is it going to make it so that everyone can get it by just typing in a code and then all of a sudden everyone has it right away? Is it going to be, you know, kind of different where it's not specific, but it's just going to automatically just go, okay, this attachment, this attachment. Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with that one, but I'm kind of hesitant about that. And then we are also getting 30 weapons at launch, with 16 being never seen before. Now, I tried looking for a weapons list, but I couldn't find one. There's just a couple rumored out there and a couple that are confirmed, like the Peacekeeper Mark 1, a PDW type weapon, one of the shotguns with the round barrel from Black Ops 2, that's going to be coming, and a couple others. And then we are also going to have no tac sprint by default. That I am excited about because I am someone who hated tac sprint, but you do need a perk to run it. Like, it's not fully out of the game, so if you have, I forget what perk it's called, but basically it allows you to tac sprint, and then there's something similar with being able to aim in while like jumping, sliding, drop shotting. You need dexterity for that, which I'm not a big fan of. I kind of like the Omni movement with Black Ops 6 where you could slide and still shoot, not need to have a crutch perk that you need it to run in order to play the game. So I would have liked to see that kind of go away. And then sleight of hand perk returning, which is basically fast mags but in perk form, because I really did not like the Black Ops 6 system with the fast mags. It made your mags faster, but you only had 20 bullets in some guns, and it's like, man, it's not really worth it, especially coming from games where you can have like extended mags and fast mags both on the same gun, which I was a big fan of in Black Ops 3. And then they are coming back with the BO6 style perk system, but it has a slight twist to it. So for those who played it, you know, you had your red perks, your green perks, and your blue perks, and like your red perks were real good for run and gunning, where your green perks were more support, getting score streaks and stuff. And I can't remember what your blue perks were, but they also created what was called combat specialties, so it's like another perk on top of those, as long as you ran all three of the same color perks. So like if you ran all three reds, all three greens, or all three blues, it gave you that combat specialty. But now they're coming out with this thing called hybrid combat specialties. It's basically you can run different ones, but as long as it kind of caters towards the same play style, it will give you that specialty. So say you're playing more of a support role, but you don't want to have all the same color perks, like say you maybe you want a red one in there or like a blue one in there too. It will give you what's called a hybrid specialty. So you can still have that extra perk on top of it, but you don't have to like force yourself to run all one color, especially if some of the perks aren't as good and you're just running it to get that combat specialty, which I know I did in Black Ops 6, and it was very annoying. And then there was originally a rumor when Black Ops 7 was kind of just being rumored, like, okay, this is going to be the next game, that specialists were returning. And I think they got that mixed up for the specialist bonus thing. But in a way, specialists are kind of returning. But instead of them being like, you know, your operator thing, it is now a field upgrade. So instead of like the dead silence and all that stuff, it's going to be like active camo, grappling hook, and I think maybe War Machine. I seen something like Exo Jump thing, but that was like campaign gameplay. The only one I know that's going to be a multiplayer for sure is the active camo. So that's kind of everything that's been confirmed so far. Now, I've kind of learned in the past couple of years to not get too excited over the new CODs, because in some way they always let us down. So I am not really excited for this. I am gonna try out the beta and see kind of how it feels, but I know the main game will change from there, and they could add stuff halfway through. Like with World War II, the game was atrocious the first 6 months, and then they did a complete rework of it, and now it's actually like a pretty good game aside from some of the maps being terrible. So let me know what you guys think. Are you guys excited for Black Ops 7 to come out? Do you think it's going to be good? What do you guys think about all the stuff that's confirmed? Yeah, what's on your guys' wish list for this? Do you want to see the same stuff as me, or do you want to see different things, or maybe some of the stuff that's on my wish list do you not want to see? And are you happy with the way the games have currently been? But yeah, that's kind of everything. I know this is probably a bit longer of a video than what I normally upload, so I hope you guys enjoyed the gameplays, and other than that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, see ya.